Good morning, all. Welcome. You.
That one, right?
Host for this session. We want to apologize because we are currently behind schedule. But then I just want you to look to your left and right and say hello to the person sitting beside you. Session is so important. A lot of speakers to invite the first speaker. So our first speaker, the first session we'll be taking today, will be about preparing for a career in the energy sector. How do you prepare for a career in the energy sector? The energy sector has a lot of opportunities for young professionals, for even currently existing professionals. And if you're here, you're thinking of transiting into the energy sector, I know it has operate, okay? A seasoned speaker and an expert over 15 years. She is the principal partner of Rare Virtue Consulting Limited, a HR consulting firm that specializes.
Tell me your experience. Employed at the career fair, we had employed at the career fair. We had a database of, don't be too shy for you, for confident people. Hands went down. But by all means, every opportunity you have like this is an opportunity to sell yourself, right? You can never put anything out that you can't defend. If I'm going to go for a training, for example, I go through my slides, even if I prepared it all, I go through it over and over again. If I see anything I don't know, I'll either go and research it or can get back. But then it's okay, put anything on your CV. That's the first tip I want to give you. Never put anything on your CV you can't defend. And some of us discount our experiences. I've not gone into my slides yet. I'm still just going through some tips. Some of us discount our experiences. For example, I met someone who graduated and she had some volunteer experience at a company, but she couldn't put it together in words on her CV. I believe that every is your first marketing tool into that opportunity. How you put it is very important. Please let me go to the third slide. Is it? Hello? A replacement for your resume. It's a supplement. I'm sure some of us take supplements. It's not the food, but it's a supplement. It supplements certain things that you don't have. So your LinkedIn profile is a supplement for your resume. Your resume is the main ingredient, where the LinkedIn profile is your supplement. But your LinkedIn profile is very important because you meet a lot of human from different departments, but lined up with my objective. Example, experienced QA engineer with expertise in manual and automated testing methodologies, right? So you can use 3B, a summary of who you are or what your objective is as a person, right? So recent petroleum engineering graduate with knowledge of drilling, production, and geological analysis, right? Your experience. Now I know someone who came for recruitment and he's been out of school for 10 years and he doesn't have one experience on his CV. It doesn't say a lot about you, because any employer will think when they employ you, you'll just be sleeping, because that's what you've been doing for the past 10 years. How would you put? Yes, Visi. Can I have the mic, please?
Sorry, my name is Chuku Siriakus.
Yeah, can you see me?
Okay, thank you so much. We're going to do something briefly. Now, if you look around, you see that when we started, the session was quite, our seating arrangement wasn't so orderly. So I want you to please take a step forward. We just want to have this orderly sitting. I know you may feel like, oh, someone is sitting there before, but just move forward. As long as there is no bag or there's nothing in front of you, please just move forward so we have this orderly arrangement in the hall. You can use the front seats. Come on, it's not left for anyone. Thank you so much for your cooperation. Thank you, thank you. So for those of you just coming, this is the Nigeria International Energy Summit Education Program, proudly brought to you by Vantage Consulting. And the education, we know that the energy sector is constantly evolving. And one thing that would keep you updated is the amount of information and knowledge you have. I remember one of the contributions someone said is he talked about information. And then our speaker talked about social capital. The person you know and the information you have would keep you steps away from your contemporaries. So that's why this session is so important. And today we have a lot of things to look at. The first session we've looked at preparing for a career in the energy sector. How many of us are currently operating in the energy sector? You're currently operating in the energy sector. Okay? Okay. How many of us are looking to, get into the energy sector? You want to get into the energy sector? Some persons are raising their hands to us. Okay. So the last session was majorly about preparing for a career in the energy sector, how to build a profile, how to apply for jobs and interview. And you would agree with me that that was helpful, right? Okay. So we also have other sessions on the role of education in Africa's energy transition, still to come. We also have a session on renewable energy in Nigeria, the opportunities and the strategies for market penetration. And then we'll still have excellence in leadership masterclass and all that. So this is all still to come, and I want to, indulge you. Don't leave. We would have break time where you can go out, stretch your legs, but we have a lot, and the more informed you are, the better ahead you are in life, okay? We're trying to set up to get connected. Our next speaker will be joining us virtually. And the next session will be looking at the role of education in Africa's energy transition. Okay? And our guest speaker, I'll just read up his profile. And then, we can see he's already there. So I'll just read up his profile briefly. Okay, so our next with expertise in multi-million-dollar operations and project management, sales and marketing, strategy development and training. Currently, he is a consultant, technical and business manager for Nevedic Renewables UK. He is a renewable energy enthusiast with expertise in solar, wind, storage technologies, and low-carbon energy solution. He has been involved in solar deployment worth over 400 kW in Nigeria and development with his company E&E Integrated Solutions. Ladies and gentlemen, please put our hands together as we make welcome our speaker. Let's look to the screen, and our speaker is right there. Please, can we also give him the warm round of applause so he feels the love from here. He's joining us all the way from UK. Thank you.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. I'm happy to be here today. I've actually been waiting online for quite some time. And because I have a train to catch, I'll try as much as possible to hurry up. This session won't take very long, and I hope at the end of the session that you would have gained a lot. And anybody can contact me after this. I'll share my screen, and I would like to get feedback if you could. If you can see my screen.
Okay, we can see the screen now.
Okay, so that's good. Okay, so today I'll be talking on the role of education in Africa's energy transition, how coaching, training, and mentoring comes to play. And I think I'm a living example of how education has helped me in my career so far, my career and my business, and especially coaching, training, and mentoring. So I'll use today to share some of my nuggets and how it has helped me. Energy transition, some of the
We
have
apologize. Okay.
1,400 metric tons. Africa has just been very poor. It gives us a lot of opportunities in Africa, career opportunities, business opportunities that we can take advantage of. Then installed renewable energy capacity, according to IRENA, is 55.2 gigawatts. Now, to put this in perspective, Italy is one of the most advanced countries in Europe. Now, to let you know, when I say renewable energy capacity, it includes hydro. It includes the Kanji dams, it includes the Shiroro dams, it includes the dams all around Africa. Then it includes all the solar capacity, it includes all the geothermal capacity in Kenya, East Africa, Mozambique, all those areas, and includes offshore and onshore wind. We are still at 55.2 gigawatts as at 2021. That's to show you how far we have to go. Africa's energy use is mostly for electricity, transport, all forms of transport that we have, industry, and then cooking. So from the International Renewable Energy Agency, it's one of the websites that you really need to look out for if you want to check out all the opportunities in industry. The cumulative investment needed for Africa's power generation between 2015 to 2030 is on this table. West Africa, where we are in Nigeria, we need about for all generation that we need from now to 2030, we need about 89 billion US dollars for just generation. But for transmission and distribution, we need about 52. Now, if we're going to do it's broken down into large hydro, which we might not, and then other renewables. I have another chart that shows the electricity generation. Most people, when they hear about energy, they think about electricity because electricity is usually the most used form of energy in the world. But there are other uses. There's transport, there's cooking. In Europe, we have cooling separately, and then we have industrial use. But electricity is by far one of the most used. Now look at this chart. I have one small pie chart that shows 2012's total generation. I have another pie chart that shows 2040's total generation. And Africa is trying to move from here, 2012 to 2040. And it's very obvious from this chart that coal at 56% in 2012 is reducing to 27% by 2014. And what is taking up that space? Gas is increasing from 9% to 25%. So the keynote on this chart is that gas, we're in the decade of gas, according to Nigeria, is increasing from 9% to 25% by 2040. That's the target. Hydro is increasing just marginally because of other issues, but renewable energy is increasing from 1% in 2012 of our electricity mix to about 12% in total. And you can see that oil is reducing, nuclear is staying most likely the same at 3%. So, like I said, the decline of coal and oil, hydro, importance of gas and other renewables. At the beginning of this presentation, I said the goal is not to go away totally from oil and gas. No, the goal is actually to decarbonize the industry, and we can still decarbonize the industry by using natural gas systems coupled with renewable energy systems. Africa has discovered and has a large catchment of gas reserves that it has to use because Africa's CO2 emissions from my first slide here, our CO2 emissions are still less than 8% of the world's CO2 emissions. Meanwhile, it just shows that we don't use as much energy as is needed, and that's why we are poor. Energy drives industrialization, and energy drives GDP. So I'll move over to this. According to PricewaterhouseCoopers, I told you I work for PricewaterhouseCoopers, so I usually go to their websites for some information. The decarbonization pathways for Africa, apart from just using renewable energy, we also have to decarbonize oil and gas industry, and that can be done by using carbon sequestration, that's carbon capture, methods, either through bioenergy or direct air capture. But according to all the countries that have brought out robust energy transition plans, we can see that the demand using 2020 as a baseline is 792 terawatt hours, but the aspirational ambition is 8,455 terawatt hours. But we are planning also to reduce our GHG emissions. That's the last. Our plan, according to all the energy transition plans that have been published, Nigeria, Egypt, Kenya, Tunisia, we plan to reduce our GHG emissions while increasing our installed capacity by more than 10 times. The second line here shows that our installed capacity is moving from 223 gigawatts to 2,413. It just shows you that there is a lot of opportunity coming up. If you've gotten a copy of the Nigeria's Energy Transition Plan, it breaks it down into universal electricity access and then net zero of Nigeria. I'm just breaking it down. Universal energy access by 2030. What that means is that Nigeria is planning to move from its about 60% electricity access now to universal energy access. That means everybody should have access to energy that it needs, both electricity and basic energy for cooking by 2030. That's ambitious. Then also net zero emission target by 2060. What net zero simply means is that as you are producing energy from carbon sources, regular carbon sources, oil and gas, or whatever sources, you also have to be sequestering the CO2 either through renewable energy or through carbon capture projects or through afforestation or reforestation or various means to give you plus CO2 minus CO2 equals to zero. That's the meaning of net zero emissions targets. And with a portfolio of initiatives, we are targeting net zero emissions by 2060. That's also ambitious for Nigeria, but it just shows that where the opportunities lie. Climate Change Act of 2021 is also saying that by that 2030, which is halfway to 2060, reduction of our GHG emissions by 47%. And then the new Petroleum Industry Act has given NNPC the mandate to engage in renewable energy production. Another opportunity. And then we have the Electricity Power Sector Reform Act, which mandates that we should have a portion, each of the discos should have a portion of power. They encourage that portion of the power that's being generated and distributed from renewable energy. And then the most recent one in the news is that the states are being granted autonomy to generate, transmit, and distribute electricity. Now, this is still in the nascent phase, but it just shows you that there's so much opportunity in the industry, in the energy industry, electricity industry, and in the distribution part of the industry. Where does education come in? Your basic degree. Yes, most people here when I spoke to the organizers, most people are young graduates who are looking to come into the industry, and that section of people who are between 5 years to 50 years in the industry. Yes, so I'm assuming that everybody here has a basic degree, but guess what? Your basic degree really, really doesn't matter. It just gets you a foot in the door. It's what you do after or with your degree that matters. Now, what are the targeted degrees for people who want to come into the oil and gas industry, for instance? The target engineering degree, and engineering degree is physical sciences, law, finance, and so on. But if you can get your foot in the door, remember I told you that I studied computer engineering. For the past 13 years, everybody forgets that I studied computer engineering. They all think I'm a petroleum engineer or a mechanical engineer. And that's to show you the value of training or the value of your experience and how you apply it in industry. Now, you can go ahead and do advanced degrees, masters, technical masters, general. Don't ever, I'm repeating it, downplay the importance of your experience. Your experience, well packaged, can open doors for you. Can open doors for you in whether you decide to do further studies or change your career, just like I decided to do last year. Now, for under education, we have so many scholarships and endowments that you can take advantage of. If you decide to remain in the energy industry, we have PTDF scholarships, we have UK scholarships, so many UK scholarships for energy policies, engineering, renewables, sustainable development, environmental energy. And that's because the developed world wants to support Africa in transmitting in transitioning to net zero emissions, because they know that left to us, we really don't have to join them. We're not yet industrialized, we're developing, and we need as much energy as possible, right, to develop. Other advanced countries have polluted. Let me just say they've contributed far more to pollution. So why should we join them in the race? So because we're a little reluctant, the world has to support us. The world has to help us in decarbonizing our industry, in our energy transition plan. That is why there are so many grants for new businesses, and there are so much scholarship for people who want to study energy policies or engineering or renewable energy at various levels in the developed world. We have ENI, GIZ, then the EU ECOWAS scholarships. Just go online and check this out, as well as various opportunities. Now we talk about training, coaching, and mentoring, which is the crux of today's discussion. And I'll be very quick on this. I've already talked about formal training, and formal training here includes your degrees, your vocational aptitudes, and then your certification. So vocation here, it's your electrical certifications for people. For instance, we have solar panel installers everywhere right now. Some of them do not have formal degrees, but have gone to a vocational school or attended vocational training, and they are involved already in Africa's energy transition. While my profile was being read, it was mentioned that I have a company in Nigeria, E&E Integrated Solutions. I've installed over 400 kilowatts of solar power in Nigeria. In fact, almost every week for the past 3 months, we've been installing at least 5 kilowatts of solar power in various parts of the country. And who do we use? We use a mixture of both formally trained engineers and people who have vocational certificates, people who don't have degrees to achieve these. So there's a lot of opportunity for people to come into the industry, to the renewable energy industry at that scale, right? If you want to come at a higher scale, then of course you have to focus on your degree and the companies you work for. That's for renewable energy. Now, even for the oil and gas industry, I worked on the oil and gas industry in the oil and gas industry, and I left as a rig manager. Many of the people that worked for me on the rig, on the offshore rigs, actually did not go to university. Some of them went to university, but don't need to go to university. Even to become an assistant driller, you really do not have to go to the university. It's all vocational and experience, and of course, training. So wherever you find yourself, just survey your company, survey the opportunities in the industry, and decide on the best path. Now, it's about my story. When I joined the Wando PLC, I started as a graduate trainee, downstream, midstream, and 1 year to decide on where you want to end up. I personally decided to end up in energy services, which meant with my computer engineering degree, I have to go through another whole training, which is exactly what other people do, which is exactly what people who don't have degrees even do. Wherever they are in Europe, in America, if you see people that work on the rigs, many of them are not educated. Only when they get to the higher level that their education matters, and when they want to transition to other parts of the business. I looked at it and I said, do I want to remain in IT or do I want to come into the energy industry? I decided to go into the energy industry, and to go into the energy industry, I decided to be at the crux, at the center, which is why I decided to be in energy services. And I took every advantage of the trainings that were available in my company, the rig engineer program, numerous trainings that I attended, and of course, my company also sent me to Italy to the GE Oil and Gas University. So those were all trainings that I took advantage of. And of course, the Human Capacity Development Program for fresh graduates. Most contracts that are now signed with oil and gas companies, oil and gas contractors on the JV or PSC contracts, mandates that the companies, based on the size of the contracts, take in some trainees for 1 year, and it rose based on how many years the contracts are. So while I was in OES, we trained 30 people for the first year and trained 30 people for the second year on the rigs. And some of them have transitioned. We didn't retain all of them, but some of them have transitioned get into different skilled and semi-skilled parts of the energy industry. that are out there in terms of internships. And that you could do, whether you're in the country, outside the country, is to deliberately seek for internship opportunities or apprenticeship opportunities. Because if you see from what I said before, the pathway that we are on is up to 2060. That is a long time. That is 37 years from now. The energy industry as a whole, especially in Africa, is still going to be robust. Whether we're talking about the oil and gas space, when we're in the decade of gas, we're still going to be developing a lot of our gas infrastructure, even planning to export gas. And we're also pari passu with renewable energy. This is the time to get in. So take advantage of formal trainings and internship opportunities. And of course, your job experience. I talked about that. Your on-the-job training, assignments, and diversification. I saw it early and I put in my own. I also moved to sales and marketing, that's business development, where I used my operational experience to win contracts for the company. Then I moved back to operations as a rig manager. Now, as I came in here to the UK, it's the mix of my project management experience and my business development experience that has landed me so many job offers. As I'm talking to you now, I've accepted a job already, but and in offshore wind, but I have other jobs or other job offers that came in last week that are putting me in dilemma. But that's where coaching and mentoring comes in, which is the next thing I want to talk about. We have professional coaching and mentoring, personal and hybrid. Now that shares a story with you, helps you from might have the same person or whatever industry you find yourself. Get a coach or a mentor from that industry or from that company. I was lucky to do that in my own company. Immediately I came in early enough, I identified someone who I love the person's career trajectory, and I said, okay, please, sir, I want you to be my coach and my mentor. And that person is still my coach and mentor up till today. Even as of last week, I spoke to him about the different job offers I had why and why I wanted to settle for what I was going to settle for. Even if you are not in a company yet, take advantage of LinkedIn. LinkedIn is has proved itself to be very important nowadays. If you are professional enough and you have your own profile, you can reach out to people in various industries that you're targeting, either the oil and gas industry, the energy industry, or even the renewable energy industry. And you can get so many opportunities simply by writing a well-crafted, polite message to the person on LinkedIn. And then the importance of industrial associations, SPE. I was a member of SPE, IADC, whatever professional association you find yourself. That leads me to the second one. Use it properly by networking, having one-on-one engagements, online, both online or physical, and investing in yourself. And then finally, we have hybrid opportunities. So do you have to have an individual development plan? That's what I mean by IDP here. You have to have personal goals, and then you have to read and study to know what's happening out there. There is so much happening in Europe. There is so much happening in America. When I was living in Nigeria, I made a decision. My colleagues and my bosses in Wando were wondering why I was leaving. I was living as a manager, and they were wondering, Ibuka, why are you leaving? As in, they were sad to see me go, but they were wondering why are you leaving. I said, oh, I just thought about it and I said that Nigeria is, I said, I've done this job for quite some time. I've been in Rwanda since 2010. I've been in Rwanda since 2010 and I left in 2012. And luckily, my coach also moved at the same time to the UK with me. With the coach that I had, the opportunities are everywhere, right? The UK needs 27,000 professionals in renewable energy between now and 2027. 27,000 in 4 years. Luckily, if you have some experience from Nigeria, then you're coming in at the right time. But even if you don't have any experience now, I've already told you that we have a window of 37 years to play in the industry, and that's a long time. Whether you want to build a career or you want to build a business or you want a mix of both, we have it means the GDP will be better, right? So you have spaces to play in operations and maintenance, construction and installation, manufacturing, and with all this, project management also comes in. But of course, can you be a project manager without experience? No. Can you be a good project manager without experience? No. So this is the time to leverage on any experience you have. and then build on every resource you have, taking advantage of coaches, mentors, and training opportunities to build your portfolio. And then finally, what are the skills required? I've already talked about vocational skills. I've talked about the engineering skills. Then geology and geophysics. Now, geology and geophysics are not going to just play in oil and gas. Geology and geophysics will play in the renewable energy or sustainable energy space. Why? Because when we're talking of decarbonization initiatives, everybody is now talking about, if we're still using oil and gas, how do we capture the carbon and put in underground storage or under ocean storage? That's called carbon sequestering, and that's where geology and geophysics will come back to play. Also in geothermal energy, which is a form of renewable energy, geology and geophysics also comes to play. So don't despise your first degree if it's geology or geophysics if you want to play in the renewable energy space. Then we have environmental management. Of course, we have a lot of impact assessments, ecology impact assessments. We have sustainable mining because we need lithium, we need cobalt for the batteries that will serve the sustainable electricity phase of the Africa's energy transition plan. You're talking about electric cars, charging, we have to finance renewable energy projects, sustainable energy projects, right? Those are opportunities. We have data analysis. We have a lot of data analysis to be done. Environmental and energy data literacy is very important. And then we have a whole value chain of logistics and supply chain and business that will be required for the energy transition plan in Africa. Where do you want to be? And how can you take advantage of education, training, coaching, and mentoring to plan or funnel your career for the next 37 years in quotes? This is my question to you. And I hope if there's anything you're going to take out from this, take a plan, get a coach or a mentor, set goals for yourself, and get cracking because there are so many opportunities out there. Thank you.
Can we put our hands together for Mr. Ebuka? Okay. Mr. Ebuka, are you still there with us?
Yes, I'm still here with
Okay,
you.
so we'll quickly take questions. Hope you're open. Okay, thank you. Questions. How many of us have questions for Mr. Ebuka? Any question? Am I seeing the hand? Okay. There's someone at the back. All right. Thank you.
Hello, Ibuka. How does one
Yeah,
get
hi.
to partner with? You said you have a company here in Nigeria. For an upstart, how do they get to partner with you in the area of business development, or perhaps they want to be hands-on and be engineers? Do you have a training program that people can join?
Okay, thank you for that question. I can't see your screen, so I just a more established renewable energy company called CBU Energy. Now, CBU Energy has training programs basically for their solar engineers. So yes, I could link you with them. If you're interested, you can drop me a note. So when I get, because of my experience and my industry networks, I get a lot of jobs. I get a lot of leads, and I've hired some people also to act as business development leads. And then once the jobs come, I have a laid down partnership and an MOU with CBU Energy, and they execute all my projects. We have a warranty plan in place. So that's it. If you can drop me a note after, I could set you up with their training school.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Ebuka. Any other question? Okay, we have another question right there.
Hi. Hello. Yeah, Ibuka, how are you?
Yeah, hi.
My name is Michael. I think I was part of the onboarding process during your renewable your time at Owando. Yeah, well done, well done. I just sent you a message on LinkedIn. I'm sure you realize when you get it. Okay, so I'm trying to find out, right? I'm more interested in the energy accessibility over your grid, over your IPPs, over your microgrid locations. So I do a lot of the automation from the firmware and the software standpoint. So I would like to understand how, what kind of opportunities exist in the renewable energy sector in terms of automating data visualization, data aggregation, automating those microgrid sites. I would like to hear. Is this something I should take up with you later, or I just want to get a sense of how that works from your standpoint? Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much, Mike. Of course, I remember you, and you are part of my induction process in Wando many years ago. So, it seems I'm frozen. Can anybody hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
Okay.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Okay. So for automation, basically, REA. If you're familiar with what REA is doing, and of course the Energy Commission of Nigeria, we have funds for several microgrid or mini grid sites around Nigeria, and it's also one of the key initiatives in Nigeria's Universal Energy Access Plan.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Ibuka. Any other question before we round off this session? Okay, so I think that would be all. Please, can we put our hands together for Mr. Ibuka for that session? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we hope you catch your train. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, how are we feeling? How was the session? Can we just get like a brief recap? What was that outstanding or striking lesson you learned from his session? Anyone wants to share? Okay, thank you so much. Please give him the mic.
I sort of services, right? So I think it's a good time. And just listening to young man speak, and quite, I was part of his process, so I just saw how, the way he has grown. So, and be able to just come here and just speak to us about this is quite interesting. And it means that every young person seated here and every other person seated here has an opportunity in this space. And I think you just have to look at it and think about what exactly do you want? Because energy is everything. It drives everything from end to end. So where do you want to play and decide this is what I want to do and this is how I want to do it? These are the helpers I need, and just become essentially intelligent in everything we do. So I think that's something to consider. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Can we put our hands together for him? Okay, anyone here? Okay. Oh, I can see two hands. All right, and then one there.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
From what I picked
Please just
out
tell us your name and
okay,
then.
my name is Rufus Edesiri.
Okay. Rufus.
What I picked out was he talked about a lot of opportunities outside the country, and when he was saying that, he just said, he said stay here, and it's actually nice. It's actually nice. There are a lot of opportunities outside, but the thing is, Africa needs us more to be developed.
Yeah.
He talked about net zero emission by 2060. We have a lot of things to do here in Africa, and so much. Instead of going out, why not just us focus here and put all of our energy here?
I like that.
Thank you.
Can we put our hands together for Rufus? Please pass the mic to Micah.
All right, my name is Micah.
Yeah.
I picked something important from what he said. It just doesn't be all about your degree. You have to add some trainings to it.
Yes.
Your vocational trainings, the certifications. You have to get a coach, a mentor to carry you all along, to guide you properly. Because for you to transit properly, for you to get all these experiences, you need someone who's already been there. And also all these trainings, they will help you a lot. So I think I picked that from what he said earlier.
That's beautiful. And that's why we have what we have here. Please come put our hands together for Micah and then the lady.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
My name is Tega. So in addendum to what Michael said, because he already said my point before I raised my hand, what I like to say is what I picked from what he said was one, have an individual development plan. So with regards to what he has spoken about, if you don't try to personally develop yourself, all this is going to just go into one ear and come out the next.
True.
And then secondly was the coach aspect. I mean, this is a forum to network as much as you can. In everyday's activities, there's a network aspect. Use it as much as possible. You can go to Google to get questions, to ask people, to interact, to interview, to spark up conversations. And at the end of that conversation, sir, please, could you be my mentor? I mean, if you wanted to be your mentor. I like the way you speak and stuff like that. And I think the second thing I also got was the skills required.
Yeah.
So he gave a list of skills. I mean, data analysis, project management. This is the 21st century. You need to get into one of these things that he mentioned and just take it up as your niche and focus on that field. You have 37 years till 2060. 37 years from now can make you the billionaire you want to be.
Yeah.
So just take it up on that. Thank you.
All right, can we put our hands together for Tega? Okay. One more. Anybody here? I need someone here. Please, there's someone here.
All right, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
All right, having listened to him and what he said, I agreed with, I think, almost everything he said.
Can you tell us your name?
Okay, my name is Isaac Idoko,
Isaac
right?
Idoko.
Okay, so he did talk about, when he was talking about the skills, he mentioned the NCDMB having an arm that gives them either training or also when they're having signing a contract with some of the contractors, it is part of it. And I can actually confirm that because I work with one of the EPCIs, and even in my organization as well, sometimes we train close to 150 people on some of these skills, row passes, rigging, and the likes of them. So there are so many opportunities out there that are available. Sometimes we get to even look for these people, right? And to get them becomes a challenge. So I would also like to admonish us that there are internships opportunities, there are CSRs by some of the major players in the country. And also finally, what I want to say, just like the last speaker and Mike has said, he mentioned something that Africa, when you look at our current standing, we are at 55 gigawatt, right? Yes. 80+% execution of their renewable energies is at 58%. What that means is there is a lot of opportunity. Have a lot. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Can we put our hands together for Isaac? Please, can we put our hands together for Isaac? Okay, finally, can we put our hands together for ourselves? Put your hands together for yourself. Thank you so much. This is still the Nigeria International Energy Summit education program. Education is key, just like our last speaker talked about. Education is power. Okay, we'll make inquiries about that. And before this workshop ends, we'll let you know if we can share the slide. Our next speaker, okay.
Yeah, we have a place for you to put down your number and your email address. So if you do that, we'll definitely shoot you those slides. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. So we have provision for that. So it is still the education program of the NIES. Our next speaker is here, and we've talked about a lot of opportunities in the energy sector, Now, how many of us are already thinking of how can you position yourself to attract those opportunities? How many of us are already thinking in that line? Okay, I can see hands being up. And our next speaker will be taking us closer to that promised land. You know, we're still on a journey and we're getting to that destination. The next speaker will be speaking on renewable energy in Nigeria, the opportunities and strategies for market penetration. That is interesting already. And the speaker is here. For the next couple of minutes, he will be taking us on that session. He is an author, an energy entrepreneur, a human capacity developer at Jean Paul Associate Consultancy. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together as we make welcome Mr. Ebuka J. Aniechebe. Our clap is quite weak. Can we do better? Thank you so much.
Another Ibuka. Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Good to be here. So quickly, over the next 30 minutes, I will share with you some of the ideas I have for those of you that are more entrepreneurial, those of you that want to start off something with what you've learned so far, and you want to get into the industry and start making money as soon as possible, then this session will be for you. If you're not thinking like that, you can go use the toilet now. Okay, so I've not been sleeping well for the last 3 weeks. For the last 3 weeks, I've not been sleeping well. I've been sleeping maybe 4 hours every night because I sleep very light. And the reason I've not been sleeping well has to do with my neighbor. See, for the last 10 years, I didn't have a neighbor because the plot beside the house, there was no, it was underdeveloped, yeah, so the guy didn't have money to finish it. Well, thank God, I mean, somebody has given him money. He's finished the place. Then, and beautiful house, beautiful house. The problem is he has a demonic generator. It's demonic. It's bigger than a better pass, so it's like that, but it's very noisy. When he starts it, the generator can be here, and then it ends up there. And it's jumping in phase. So there's frustration. There's frustration. And I realize that I'm not the only one that's frustrated. I'm frustrated when I go to the office and then I still see my neighbors still using very noisy generators. Right? And you can't think clearly. And then if you add Abuja's heat, then that sound, then you know it's like you start losing your cool. So that's one of the leading causes of divorce in Abuja, just in case apart from money and school fees, that's big cost. So what's the problem now? I want all of us here to come together and become a force to ensure that we gain back our silence in our cities, in our bedrooms, in the boardrooms. I want a situation where if you look around in Abuja, and all of you can do that, wherever you're living, whether it's in Wuye, Katampe, Maitama, Kubwa, look at the rooftops of the houses around you, and you realize that less than 1% have anything solar. Less than 1%. I'm talking even in upscale environments like Guzape and Asokoro and Maitama, the rooftops are empty. And that just shows you the volume of business that is possible. Because they are beaconing. It's like, imagine, that's powerful. Like, you don't have to prospect and guess whether this person has it or not. It's looking at you and it's telling you very clearly that we are in need of power. You're a customer, we're a prospect, they're screaming. And so that's the first step. You can fly a drone over, they don't allow it, but you can find a way, right? And fly a drone and you will see as many houses as possible, and very little of them have this. So of course I went to my neighbor with a noisy generator and I told him, that you can, there are other ways to do this thing. He said, what do you mean other ways? I said, you can get solar. He said, it's too expensive. It's too expensive. That he asked. And that brings me to my first opportunity. The first opportunity for us as Nigerians, if we're going to make this target, this lofty target that the government has set for itself, is there has to be a very strong synergy between our banking systems and entrepreneurs within the renewable energy space. One bank that is currently doing that, I'm not advertising for them, they don't know me, I don't know them, nobody, did you talk to me? Nobody talked to me. It's Sterling Bank. So Sterling Bank has an energy department. And what that means is that you can decide today to go partner with someone like the Abuja that was speaking from the UK and decide, hey, why don't I start to collate people? And a friend of mine is already doing this. And so what he does is this brilliant business plan, and everybody can copy it because there's still a huge market. He goes to markets. Like Wuye markets, the whole market. And he says, look, I want to give me a space, I'll put a solar grid, and then you pay as you go. So people are no longer even reliant so much on NEPA. They pay him, and they can use that to power their little things like their barbing salon, right? They can use it to power their blenders. And he goes to these markets, all down in the village. And all they have to do is give him his space. He will deploy these assets. He says he makes more money by that process than if they were paying him up front. Because they keep using it and using it and using it. So he's his own AEDC, if you like. He has created that for himself. It's a huge market. So I asked him, because I said, how do you get people want this? How do you get this in other states? He says he's been doing trainings. So he goes to NYSC camps and he does trainings, and people that attend those trainings, the sharp ones, he gets them on board and he just registers them so that no matter where he goes, if you call him, he can deploy somebody to you in an hour. It makes sense. It's simple, but brilliant. So these are two areas, people will call them blue oceans, right? That people are not looking at. You go to the businesses first because they can afford it, because they have a need for power, right? At home, you can guess and say, never go bring light today. Today now our turn. No, but when you're the business, they don't care whether it's your turn. They want to bob their hair now. They don't care. Okay, just wait small. Nobody wants that. Am I making myself clear? So you have that. But for you, not everybody understands. You may think, this guy was speaking earlier on, and he was speaking decarbonization, and he was calling these big words. I know he understood that, but the other half of the room didn't understand what I was saying. I didn't even understand what I was saying, but hey, sounds good. Is there money in it? Yes. Okay, fine. That's the Igbo man in me. So, but a lot of people don't understand how solar can help their businesses. Do you know that? So the marketing is the biggest problem across Africa. People don't understand. They don't understand. You may think you understand, but that is your own, what is the word I will call it now? It's you assuming and projecting that because you understand, everybody else has to understand. It's wrong. People don't know what it can do for them. People don't know the amount of sunlight that they need. They don't know the amount of solar panels that they need. They don't know the kind of inverter capacity they need. They just say it's expensive and they leave it at that. And it's bad information. It's terrible information. And so you have a job as a business developer, as a marketer, as an entrepreneur within this space to change that. And how can you change that? By targeting on communities. And so in Nigeria, what I like about Nigeria, I don't know about your village, but my village, and most of the villages I've toured in across Niger Delta, there's always a village, there's a village square, right? It's a town hall. Difference. There's always a town hall. And every village, my village, everybody has a town hall. Even the age grades, different age grades have their own town hall. Like everybody just has to have a town hall. So if you go to those town halls, they're usually deserted until they have Easter meeting, they have August meeting, and they have, of course, December meeting. For the rest of the year, it's abandoned. If you are thinking of how to market to these people, here's an idea. We have 360 House of Reps members coming in next month. True? We have 109 senators being sworn in next month. True? All of these people have community development funds. Most of them don't have the ideas for renewable energy deployments. What they usually do is the same entire thing that they've been doing every other time. Right? Providing pipe-borne water where it's the same thing. They build bridge where there's been bridge before, they extend the bridge and something of that nature. If you gave them and you sold them the idea that rather than them doing these white elephant projects, they can become a light to their society. That they can take up your project, your idea, deploy it in their village squares and town halls, and they will say this thing has been donated by Honorable Ebuka Nechebe. And they are saying it for the next 4 years. Are you going to campaign terribly hard for your next re-election? No. No. They are saying you. You're a light bringer. It makes sense for them to put you there again. So those are the people you should be targeting. Why? Because they can easily give you access to a larger market. So you must be strategic now moving forward. They're coming in, they're going to be looking for new ideas. That's where you should be targeting. Because that way you can spread across the whole of Nigeria. And I can sleep better without my neighbor's demonic generator making noise. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Good. So that's the first thing. Second thing you want to develop is find ways to get into the education of this. Your marketing should be, hey, come and learn how to deploy your own solar, because I'll tell you why. I was watching the news today on N.I.E.S television, which is N.I.E.S. Anybody else watches N.I.E.S? That's the only thing I watch. I don't even pay for the full DSTV anymore. I just pay for the one that's, is enough for N.I.E.S. It's 2,150. It's very cheap, but that's the only thing I watch. So why am I paying 9,600 when I'm not changing the channel? Anyways, so I'm watching Arise this morning, and I hear a very terrible news that since 2017 to 2023, that 2 million Nigerian businesses, SMEs, have closed down. 2 million. That's the conservative government's figure. You know that it can also go way up. Sit down and wait for government and wait for government. We have to take these things in by ourselves. So first thing, find banks like Sterling Bank, for example. They have energy departments that are willing to partner with you so you can deploy these assets and then people can pay you as they go. Because without that, people will keep thinking of the big, huge upfronts, right? And these banks do this already. So this is a huge and a good business model for them because they can see that it's easy. You're not licensing this. Anybody that doesn't want, they remove it from your roof and off you go. Second, target communities, markets, town halls, churches. Why? Because then people start to appreciate, so this whole church, all this fan they turn now, just sun, they turn the fan. Then they start to understand. They start to understand. And you can deploy this easily. Because now, since your pastor has endorsed it or your imam has endorsed this, right, and he's already seen it working, you don't need to market anymore. You don't need to market hard anymore. Right? They will do the marketing for yourself. I hope this has been useful. They're just some of the ideas I have. I thought I should share them with you. I'm hoping that you can deploy them and your future, your financial future is as bright as the sun. Thank you. I will take some questions. Anybody that has this. By the way, my background is in marketing, so that's why I talk about marketing. That's what I do. I market for different organizations and businesses. So some of the ideas I've shared with you, some of our clients are already trying that with huge success. But like I said, the market is huge. We need to deploy more people. Sir.
Hi, hello? Okay. My name is Michael. So I'd like to hear, so I heard you say exciting things about certain guy coming to ring fence demand and create opportunities. So working with the banks. So just from the risk standpoint, how do you ring fence that, right? For example, let me take for example, I want to build an IPP, power plant, right? And I've gotten, how would I put it? I've gotten contract from 10 off-takers to say, Michael, if you're able to build this IPP, I'm going to take 1 megawatt. Guy said, I want to take 2 megawatts. I know that I have 15. So I have a letter of interest. I can show the bank. I have these 15 guys that are credible that if I can do this, they would. So this is my market. Therefore, finance me. Yeah? But when you come to the slightly local parlance in the marketplace, how are you able to ring fence that to be able to prove that you have off-takers of your 100 kilowatt renewable plant? So how do you do
You mean the local finance guys, the local players?
Yes.
So that's a good question. I can't answer that question directly because I would need to have more insights in terms of what have you tried so far, right? What banks have you approached so far? Some are better than the others. Some have a clearer idea of the opportunities that exist within this sector than others. That's why I've been naming one particular bank because I know that they have given not one, not two, not three people. They actually have an allocated fund for this. So you don't want to go to a bank that is still the manager doesn't even understand what you're talking about. Like I said, it's intellectually pompous for you to assume that because you know something, the next person should know it.
Okay, so maybe let me put it so if I'm a bank, right, and you come and tell me, I need 20 million naira to build a 10 kilowatt microgrid for Katampi market, for example.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's highly exciting. Well, the first question I'm going to ask you is, how do you know that this guy, how do I guarantee? So if I give you 20 or 30 million and you build it, and of course I put it in my books, I'm supposed to receive an income from interest income, and 2 months down the line you're telling me, bros, I mean, these guys are not, I expected 100 people to log in, to onboard, but only 10.
10 have come
so
so
how do you, that
gap.
Yeah, that gap.
You'll need a credit risk guarantor in any case. I have a colleague here that actually does. Thank you. Go ahead, sir.
All right, sir. Thank you for the very thorough teaching. I think it's sparked my interest because my background is also in marketing and business development. And it's not actually a question, it's how do I get access to you?
To me.
Maybe if I have questions or guidance after here.
Okay, so that's very simple. You get my number and you get my access to me. Okay. You. Sorry? Okay.
Okay, my name is Miracle, and I'm grateful for how you shared. It's something everyone can take on. So my question is around this whole setup. For I know that what you shared is about solar, which means that the energy is clean. So do you also have
that risk, right? And you have to. In fact, especially if you're going to be getting these products also on credit, right? Your financiers will need you to definitely take out an insurance. So that's a must. And that is borne usually by the company that is deploying the risk, not necessarily the customer that is paying as you go, right? So that's the first thing. You bear the risk, right? Because you're the one deploying the assets. And if it gets missing, who's to blame? It's you, right? So you bear the risk for that. Of course, it's like 0.5 to 1% of the cost of that. So that's a component that you have to add in your business plan.
Is that a product, an insurance product
they do.
that caters to
that
this?
caters to that, precisely.
Okay.
You should visit them. They don't have a lot of branches, but yes, the best with the energy department is the one beside, close to Chelsea Hotel in Central Business Districts. Yes, I can give you a contact there as well.
Okay, what about the other part of the second question?
To your second question, remind me again, what was it?
Talking about efficient.
How efficient, the efficient use. So that's where the education comes in. That's where education comes in, right? I have solar in my house. Doesn't mean that when there's no NEPA, right, that I would put on the deep freezer, right, or the standing AC. So some of these things, you have to educate people. That's where the education comes in. So look, if you're going to use based on their minimum order, we can't even satisfy the market. So that's where we should be thinking. If we can other people, right? You don't have to be a technical person. There's so much that can be harnessed together when we work together. I hope this is useful. Any other questions? No other questions? Thank you very much. I'll give yes. Okay. So I'll give the number. Bring out your phone. I'll just give the number quickly. It's very simple to remember. It starts with 080, of course. 00 64 393 711. 313 711. So most of the times I teach these things on my social media. So if you on Instagram, you can follow Ask Ebuka on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, all of that. Ask Ebuka on all the platforms. Send me a text message so that I have your number. If you flash me, it doesn't really help much. So just send me a text message and say, okay, we met at the summit, and I will have your number with your name. Okay, then we can talk and we can hopefully collaborate on other. So thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please. That is much better. Thank you so much. It has been an enlightening session. True of us. If you agree that it has been enlightening, can you say aye? If you don't agree, say nay. So the ayes have it. So put our hands together for the various speakers who have spoken throughout today. We're going to go. We still have the leadership masterclass session yet to come. But we'll go on a short break. The break will last for 30 minutes. We can have lunch, stretch our legs, get to walk around the different booths to see what is happening. And we'll be back by 30 minutes at 2:50. So we'll be back by 2:50 for the last session, which is the leadership masterclass. It is still the Nigeria International Energy Summit education program. See you by 2:50. Thank you. Okay, welcome everyone. Yes, let me quickly. I think you sent it to me. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. If you're part of the workshop, please, we would want you to come back to the arena, the workshop for the Nigeria International Energy Summit, the education program. If you're for this workshop and you can hear the sound of my